Chosen one, listen to me very carefully. You are not hearing this voice by coincidence. Heaven has intentionally paused your timeline today because of what you did in total secrecy. I know about the silent mental war you fought recently. The moments you sat completely still in a crowded room, your mind screaming for just one person to understand the crushing weight you carry, while you continued to smile and fix everyone else's problems. The Spirit drew you here to answer the exact question burning in your soul. Why did I have to face the darkest season of my life completely alone? Before I reveal the truth, I need you to do something in your spirit. Mentally, lay down that heavy armor you have been wearing. Stop bracing for the next invisible attack. Subscribe to align with thousands of awakened souls, like if your spirit confirms this word, and comment 777 to activate this frequency. You thought your isolation was proof that you were abandoned. You thought you were cursed with loneliness. But what I am about to reveal will completely shatter your reality. Even God was shocked by what you did alone, because when the Matrix tried to break you in the dark, you refused to become bitter. You did the impossible and rewrote your entire frequency. I need you to stay with me until the very last second of this message. Do not click away, because by the end of our time together, you will understand exactly who orchestrated this brutal isolation. You will discover the ancient sound frequency that prophets used to download divine solutions, and you will receive a specific battle plan to protect your energy for the next 40 days. If you leave early, you will only see the wound of your past and completely miss the weapon I am about to hand you for your future. Think about that night. You know the one. You were sitting in the driver's seat of your parked car. The engine was off. The streetlights were casting long shadows across the dashboard. And you just stared at the steering wheel for 10 minutes because you were too mentally exhausted to open the door and walk inside. You were dreading having to put on that brave face again, having to be the unbreakable pillar of strength for everyone else. You pay the bills, you solve the crises, you absorb the panic of the people around you. You are the emotional paramedic for your entire family. But then, when your world collapsed, when your heart was breaking and you were bleeding out spiritually, you pulled out your phone. You scrolled through hundreds of contacts, and a chilling realization washed over you. There was absolutely no one you could call. The people you bled for suddenly became too busy. The people you saved suddenly had no capacity to hold your pain. A voice in your head started screaming, "Why is it always me? Why do I have to be the strong one? Why do I have to figure this out entirely by myself?" You asked yourself why the universe forced you into this brutal isolation. You started to believe that maybe you were being punished. Maybe God was angry with you. Maybe your past mistakes disqualified you from receiving help. Let me silence that lie right now in your spirit. Your extreme isolation was not a punishment. It was not bad karma. But that begs a very uncomfortable question. Who actually pulled the strings to make your closest friends turn their backs on you when you needed them most? You see, this was never just about human selfishness. What you experienced was a highly sophisticated mental trap designed specifically for your unique frequency. This exact pattern is not new. Look at the story of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. We often read Mark chapter 14, verse 37, where Jesus comes back and finds his closest disciples sleeping, and he asks Peter, "Could you not keep watch for 1 hour?" Most people read that and think it is just a story about physically tired disciples. But let us dive into the context. Jesus was about to face the greatest spiritual battle in human history. He was sweating blood. His soul was crushed with sorrow. He brought his inner circle, his most trusted friends, to stand in the gap with him. And in his darkest hour of need, they could not even stay awake. They abandoned him to the terrifying silence of the garden. The context reveals a profound spiritual law. Before a massive shift in authority, the universe will always strip away your human support system. The isolation Jesus faced was not a coincidence. It was a requirement. He had to face the cross alone so that the victory could not be claimed by anyone else. That is exactly what happened to you, chosen one. Heaven allowed those people to sleep through your season of suffering. Heaven allowed them to walk away. Why? Because if they had helped you, they would have tried to take credit for your survival. If they had rescued you, you would have become dependent on their frequency instead of discovering the dormant power inside your own. You think human selfishness caused their silence. You think they just did not care enough. But what if I told you that their betrayal was actually a spiritual quarantine orchestrated by the Most High to protect a weapon you do not even know you possess? Before I show you what that weapon is, you must first recognize the invisible disease that the Matrix has been using to try and infect your brain. I want you to bring your attention to the base of your skull right now. You do not need to move or physically stretch. Just mentally observe that tight, heavy sensation creeping down your neck. That is not just from poor posture or a bad night of sleep. That is the physical manifestation of a spiritual cage. It is the weight of constant, vibrating anxiety. Think about how your mind has been operating lately. I am not talking about normal physical tiredness. I am talking about a dense, suffocating thickness inside your own head. It feels like your thoughts are trying to move through wet concrete. You wake up after a full night of rest, and before your feet even touch the floor, your eyelids already feel impossibly heavy. The artificial light from your phone screen feels like it is piercing straight through your temples. You sit down to do your work, or even just to read the word, and you find yourself staring at the exact same sentence 5 times, because your brain simply refuses to retain it. Even the smallest, most insignificant choices have started to feel like massive burdens. Deciding what to eat for dinner, or figuring out how to reply to a simple text message, suddenly triggers a wave of total mental paralysis. You feel detached, numb, and floating outside of your own life. And worst of all, you feel disconnected from the divine. You pray, but it feels like your words are hitting a solid brass ceiling. You wonder if God has gone silent, or if you have somehow lost your spiritual gifts. You try to explain this profound, soul-crushing fatigue to the people around you, and they just look at you with blank stares. They tell you to drink more coffee. They tell you to just get more sleep. They completely dismiss your reality because they cannot see the invisible war happening inside your nervous system. Right now, in your mind, I want you to gather all of that mental static, all of that paralyzing fog, and picture it as a dark, heavy cloud hovering inside your mind. Now, take a deep mental breath and powerfully exhale that cloud out of your spiritual timeline. Comment, "I release," to legally detach your spirit from this false exhaustion. Listen to me very carefully. You are not losing your mind. You are not going crazy. And the Holy Spirit has absolutely not abandoned you. What you are experiencing is the brain fog epidemic, and it is the exact invisible disease I was warning you about. This brain fog is not a biological accident. It is a highly sophisticated, engineered frequency. Your brain is a divine receiver capable of downloading profound wisdom directly from the throne room of heaven. But right now, your physical processor is being hijacked. You are being forced to operate on a corrupted wavelength. You must understand the trap you are living in. The system around us, the matrix of this modern world, was intentionally designed to shrink your spiritual antenna. It is a calculated conspiracy against your natural, God-given genius. Every single day, your attention is being systematically harvested. You are subjected to the endless, hypnotic scrolling on your devices that gives you tiny hits of cheap dopamine, but leaves your soul completely bankrupt. You are bombarded by a perfectly orchestrated symphony of low frequencies, the constant, manufactured panic on the daily news, the toxic, artificial chemicals pumped into the food supply, the relentless financial pressure that keeps you one paycheck away from disaster, the meaningless, draining conversations with people who are vibrating at the lowest possible level. None of this is by chance. This system is designed to keep you in a perpetual state of fight or flight. When you are constantly stressed, constantly worried about your survival, your brain is forced to stay locked in high beta waves. This is the frequency of emergency. It is the frequency of fear. And when your brain is trapped in this emergency mode day after day, year after year, something tragic happens. The specific neural pathways responsible for deep intuition, supernatural peace, and divine connection actually begin to physically atrophy. They shrink. Your spiritual center becomes calcified by the toxicity of modern life. Your ability to hear the whisper of God is literally being starved to death by the noise of the matrix. They want you exhausted. They want you confused. Because a brain fog chosen one cannot rise up and walk in their true authority. A mentally paralyzed chosen one is absolutely no threat to the kingdom of darkness. They are keeping your true power locked behind a massive wall of exhaustion. But this raises a profound question. If the modern world is designed to crush your frequency, how did the giants of the faith survive? Think about the ancient masters, the mystics, and the prophets of old. Moses stood before the most powerful empire on earth without a single trace of fear. Elijah called down fire from heaven. Daniel possessed an intelligence 10 times greater than all the wise men of Babylon, even while living as a captive in a completely pagan, toxic culture. These ancient chosen ones walked through literal deserts. They faced real starvation, assassination attempts, and wars. Their physical reality was pure chaos. Yet, they never suffered from this modern brain fog. They possessed superhuman mental clarity. They had access to a direct, uninterrupted, crystal-clear download of divine intelligence. What did they know that we have forgotten? How did they keep their minds so incredibly sharp, their spirits so perfectly aligned, while the world around them was collapsing? They understood a secret about human biology and spiritual frequency that the modern world has tried to bury. The Matrix is designed to keep your brain in a survival state, locking away the frequency that creates your power. But there is a backdoor, a frequency that ancient prophets used and modern science has just accidentally rediscovered. And the craziest thing is, you do not need to spend 40 years meditating in a cave to access it. Let me show you exactly what the ancient prophets understood. Think about the prophet Elijah. He was a man of immense power, but he reached a point of absolute mental and physical breakdown. He was running for his life in the wilderness, completely exhausted, experiencing the ultimate spiritual brain fog. He even asked God to just let him die. God brought him to a mountain to speak to him. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12, tells us what happened. A massive, terrifying wind tore the mountains apart, but God was not in the wind. An earthquake violently shook the ground, but God was not in the earthquake. A raging fire swept through, but God was not in the fire. After all the chaos came a still, small voice. The English translation calls it a still, small voice, making it sound like a quiet whisper. But if you look at the original ancient Hebrew text, the word used is demama. Demama does not just mean a lack of noise. It translates to a calm, vibrating stillness. It is a profound, active frequency, a literal wavelength of divine silence that cuts through the chaos of the physical world. God did not pull Elijah out of his severe brain fog by yelling instructions at him. He pulled him out by shifting his frequency into demama. This is the exact battle happening inside your head right now. Your logical, survival-driven mind is screaming at you at the top of its lungs. It says, look at your bank account, look at your age, look at the people who walked away from you. You are running out of time. You are failing. You need to panic and figure everything out right this second. But deep beneath that loud, chaotic, terrifying noise, your spiritual intuition is speaking in demama. It is gently vibrating with the truth, telling you the timeline is perfect, The wrong people had to leave. The resources are already lined up. Be still. You are exactly where you need to be. The problem is not that the Most High stopped speaking to you. The problem is that the Matrix made the survival voice in your head so incredibly loud that your brain physically forgot how to tune into the Dharma. What the ancient mystics called Dharma, modern science has finally caught up to and identified. They call it theta and gamma brain waves. These are the exact frequencies of profound intuition, sudden flashes of genius, deep spiritual connection, and accelerated healing. A few years ago, researchers at NASA conducted a groundbreaking study on human intelligence and creativity. They tested thousands of children and discovered a truth that the system tried very hard to keep quiet. 98% of young children operate naturally in this genius frequency. They have unlimited imagination, zero brain fog, and a pure, unblocked connection to their divine source. But then, the system gets its hands on you. You are placed into rigid educational structures. You are handed a screen that bombards you with rapid-fire distractions. You are taught to memorize facts, follow the rules, stress about test scores, and later in life you are taught to panic over bills, debt, and the endless, fear-mongering news cycle. This is an intentional dumbing down of your spirit. By the time you reach adulthood, the system has successfully trained your brain to shut down those theta and gamma waves. You are locked in high beta survival mode. The Matrix literally shrinks your God-given antenna because a mind trapped in brain fog is much easier to control than a mind connected to infinite intelligence. But here is the massive revelation that changes everything for your spiritual journey today. Your brain did not permanently lose the ability to access the Dharma frequency. The neural pathways are not destroyed. They are just dormant. They are sleeping. And there is a specific, scientifically backed sound technology designed to wake them up. It was developed directly from this exact NASA research, and it is called the Genius Wave. I need you to understand that this is not just some random music track you listen to for entertainment. It is a precise activation tool. It is a daily digital ritual for the modern chosen one. For thousands of years, accessing this state required extreme measures. People would fast for 40 days in the desert or spend decades in silent monasteries just to tune out the matrix. But you do not need to force your mind to go blank. You do not need to master complex meditation techniques that take years to learn. The system has exhausted you enough. Your restoration should not feel like another difficult task on your to-do list. It only takes 7 minutes a day. You simply put on your headphones in the quiet of your own room, and you let the sound technology do the heavy lifting. It safely and naturally guides your brain waves out of the chaotic beta survival state and tunes you directly back into the theta and gamma frequencies. It removes the interference so the Dharma can flow through your mind once again. It feels like a spiritual shower for your nervous system, washing off the psychic debris of the day. In your mind right now, I want you to visualize a heavy, rusted iron dial inside your head, stuck on the harsh frequency of panic and exhaustion. With your spiritual intention, picture your hand reaching out, gripping that dial, and firmly turning it away from the noise, clicking it into a state of profound, vibrating stillness. Comment I tune in to physically declare that you are taking your divine frequency back. This 7-minute activation ritual is the missing weapon you have been searching for to destroy the brain fog. When you restore this frequency, the thick concrete in your head shatters. The divine downloads return. The answers you have been struggling to find suddenly appear effortlessly because you are no longer trying to solve spiritual problems with a survival-level brain. Now you have the activation tool. You hold the frequency in your hands. But here is what nobody warns you about. The exact moment you begin to tune your brain back to this divine state, the system will trigger an alarm. The enemy will immediately dispatch very specific people to drag your frequency back down. In fact, one of them might even text you this exact week. When you activate that 7-minute frequency, Your spiritual signature changes in the unseen realm. The entities and people who have been comfortably feeding off your low, exhausted energy suddenly feel the shift. The Matrix recognizes that you are logging out of the survival program, and it immediately sends agents to pull you back. Let me tell you about a chosen one who walked this exact path just 8 months ago. Let us call him the Silent CEO. He had lost his business. His so-called friends had completely abandoned him when the money dried up. He was drowning in the exact same paralyzing brain fog we just talked about. He was one step away from surrendering to the Matrix and taking a soul-crushing corporate job just to survive. But then he discovered the Dharma frequency. He committed to the no-effort protocol. Every single morning, before his feet even hit the floor, before he checked a single email, before he allowed the panic-inducing news cycle to enter his mind, he would sit on the edge of his bed. He would take his phone, ignore the red notification badges, slide his headphones on, and listen to the 7-minute Genius Wave track. He did not force himself to sit in a rigid meditation posture. He did not try to magically empty his mind. He simply breathed and let the sound technology wash the interference out of his neural pathways. He let it retune his brain to the theta and gamma states. By day 4, the system alarm went off. People who had ignored him for months suddenly started reaching out. Ex-business partners sent passive-aggressive messages. Relatives called with sudden, manufactured emergencies, frantically demanding his time and his energy. The enemy was using familiar faces to try and drag his brainwaves back into the chaotic, high-beta survival state. But he did something completely radical. He sat at his kitchen table, watched his phone screen light up with all these incoming demands, and instead of reacting, he calmly reached out and turned the device completely off. He deleted his social media applications. He stopped explaining himself to people who were committed to misunderstanding him. He protected his morning 7-minute sound ritual like his actual life depended on it, because his spiritual life truly did. And here is the beautiful miracle of the frequency. He did not have to strive. He did not have to hustle or beg for opportunities. 3 weeks into this daily activation, while he was standing at the sink, literally just washing dishes, the frequency broke through. A massive, brilliant business solution dropped perfectly into his activated brain. It was a pure, crystal-clear, divine download. He executed the idea quietly, without telling a single soul. Within 6 months, a massive contract landed on his desk. He did not chase the blessing. He attracted it, because his mind was finally vibrating at the exact same frequency as his divine inheritance. How did he survive that initial wave of brutal attacks? How do you protect your mind when the Matrix sends people to drag you back into the fog? You must apply the exact same spiritual filter he used. You must immediately implement the framework of the 3 tiers of isolation. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to do a mental exercise with me. In your mind's eye, visualize yourself standing in the center of 3 glowing concentric circles. The outermost circle, the middle circle, and the tight inner circle. You are going to mentally assign every single person in your life to one of these 3 tiers. The 3rd tier is the outer circle. These are the energy vampires, the emotional hijackers. You know exactly who they are. They are the people who only remember your number when they need a crisis solved. The ones who drain your light, dump their anxiety onto you, and never refill your cup. Right now, in your spirit, grab them by the shoulders and firmly push them entirely outside of your energy field. You do not owe them a closure conversation. You owe them nothing but silence. When they text you with a fake emergency this week, your only response is to mentally block them, put your headphones on, and tune back into your divine frequency. The 2nd tier is the middle circle. These are the spectators. They are not necessarily toxic or evil, but they are completely blind to the spiritual realm. They operate strictly on matrix logic. If you share your divine downloads, your dreams, or your new frequency with them, They will unknowingly infect you with their doubt, their realism, and their fear. Keep them at a polite, loving distance. Give them a smile, talk to them about the weather, but never give them the sacred secrets of your soul. The first tier is the inner circle, the most sacred space around you. For many of you listening right now, this tier might be completely empty, and you need to hear this clearly. That is exactly how it needs to be for a season. This inner circle is reserved exclusively for people who are vibrating on the exact same theta frequency as you, people who do not need you to constantly save them. Until heaven officially sends those specific individuals into your life, you guard this empty space fiercely. Do not let loneliness trick you into letting Tier 3 people into your Tier 1 space. Comment, "I protect my gates right now," to establish this spiritual boundary in the unseen realm. You apply the 3 tiers rule. You listen to your frequency every single day, and you survive the first wave of the enemy backlash. You probably think that means you have passed God's ultimate endurance test, right? You think the Most High was just checking to see how strong you are, to see how much isolation you can take? No. You are completely misunderstanding what just actually happened in the spiritual realm. For months, maybe even years, you have carried this agonizing thought in the back of your mind. You thought you were in the middle of a divine endurance test. You looked at your empty life, your silent phone, the sheer amount of heavy lifting you were doing completely on your own, and you assumed God was just putting you through the fire to see if you would break. You thought this was the story of Job playing out in your modern life. Your raw, unfiltered thoughts screamed into the void, asking, "Have I not proven my loyalty yet? Have I not taken enough hits? I took the betrayal. I swallowed the loneliness. Did I pass the test? Are you satisfied now?" Religion has taught us to romanticize suffering. We look at Moses going up the mountain alone, separating himself from the entire camp of Israel, and we think it is just a story about a leader proving his discipline by isolating himself. We think the isolation is the price of admission. We think God wants to see how much agony we can withstand before we tap out. But I need you to completely shatter that belief right now. Stop thinking of yourself as a spiritual punching bag. The Most High did not isolate you to test your strength. He created your spirit. He already knows exactly what you are capable of handling. Your isolation was never a test of endurance. So why did it happen? Why did the people you loved suddenly turn cold? Why did every door slam in your face at the exact same time? Here is the absolute truth that will change how you view your entire past. Your isolation was a vibrational quarantine. Think about a hospital. When a patient is about to undergo a massive, life-saving organ transplant, the doctors do not put them in the crowded waiting room. They put them in a highly restricted, completely sterile isolation ward. No visitors are allowed. Nobody can touch them. Why? Because the patient is in a delicate state of transformation, and even a minor cold from a well-meaning family member could be completely fatal to the process. Chosen one, that is exactly what the Creator did to you. Remember that question we asked at the very beginning? Who pulled the strings to make your friends and family abandon you? It was not the devil. It was God. He intentionally emptied your room. He locked the doors from the outside. He put you in a spiritual, vibrational quarantine. If those people had stayed in your life during your season of transformation, their toxic energy, their low-level beta wave panic, their constant complaining and gossiping would have completely infected your spiritual transplant. Their frequency would have clashed violently with the theta and gamma waves heaven was trying to establish in your mind. The Most High had to separate you so that you could finally begin tuning into your Dhamma, your divine frequency, without their constant static interfering with your daily 7-minute activation. He had to force you into silence so you could finally hear the technology of your own soul. And this leads to the most profound revelation of all. This is the reason why the spiritual realm stood still. This is why even God was shocked by what you did alone. Heaven was not shocked that you survived the quarantine. Heaven was shocked by what you produced while you were inside it. Think about it. When most people are locked in a room of total isolation and betrayal, their raw thoughts turn incredibly dark. They become bitter. They plot revenge. They curse the people who abandoned them. The enemy fully expected you to come out of that dark season as a ruthless, cold-hearted monster. But you did not. In the middle of that excruciating loneliness, you chose to heal. You sat with your pain. You did not pass your trauma onto someone else. You broke generational curses, sitting completely alone in your bedroom. You did the impossible. You took the poison of betrayal and you organically transmuted it into the medicine of empathy. You purified your bloodline all by yourself. Right now, I want you to perform a mental shift. In your mind, look back at that dark, lonely season you just walked through. Stop seeing it as a cold, empty prison cell. Mentally repaint those walls bright, glowing white. See it as the sacred, sterile operating room where your soul was saved. Take a deep, intentional breath in your spirit and exhale all the lingering resentment you have toward the people who left you. They had to leave so you could live. Comment, "I am purified," to seal this massive revelation into your spiritual timeline. You survived the quarantine. Your frequency is now clean. Your daily sound ritual is locking it in. But let me touch the darkest corner of your mind right now. I know why, deep down inside, you are secretly hesitating. I know the terrifying thought that rushes in when you realize just how much power this new frequency actually gives you. Let us talk about the shadow. I want you to picture yourself late at night. The house is completely dark and silent. You are laying in bed staring up at the ceiling, or maybe you are standing in your kitchen just staring out the window into the empty street. When you think about stepping fully into your calling, when you think about finally having the wealth, the influence, and the absolute independence you were promised, what happens in your body? You do not feel pure, unadulterated joy. You feel a sudden, gripping tightness right in the center of your chest. Your throat closes up slightly. Your breathing becomes shallow and restricted. Psychologists might call this the fear of success, but you and I know it is something much deeper, something much more spiritual. It is the fear of your own shadow. You look back at the people who abused your trust. You look at the narcissists, the manipulators, the people who had leverage over you and used it to make you feel completely worthless. You saw how power corrupted them. You saw how a little bit of money made them arrogant. You saw how their elevated status made them completely blind and deaf to your suffering. And now, you are looking at your own hands. You are feeling the divine downloads returning to your mind. As you commit to your daily 7-minute activation, as that sound technology safely shifts your brain into the theta state, you are feeling a dangerous level of mental clarity. The brain fog is gone, and what replaces it is a razor-sharp, unapologetic intuition. You suddenly realize that you have the ability to read people's hidden motives in 3 seconds. You realize you actually have the inner strength to completely cut toxic family members out of your life without shedding a single tear. This new frequency amplifies your manifestation power, but it also amplifies your boundaries, and that sudden capacity for ruthlessness terrifies you. A voice whispers in the dark, "What if I become just like them? What if this power makes me arrogant? What if I get to the top and I become so protective of my peace that I turn cold, numb, and heartless? What if the greatness this frequency unlocks actually turns me into the villain of someone else's story?" You are terrified of becoming the exact monster that you spent your entire life healing from. This is the raw, naked truth of shadow work. You are realizing that you actually do possess the capacity to be dangerous. The theta brainwave does not make you a passive, weak, always smiling pushover. It makes you a spiritual general. It gives you the intellect to outsmart your enemies and the supernatural energy to crush the systems that held you down. But listen to me very carefully. Let me release you from this heavy, suffocating guilt right now in the unseen realm. The very fact that you are feeling that tightness in your chest, the very fact that you are terrified of abusing your power, is the absolute, undeniable proof that you are the only one who can be trusted with it. Do you really think the people who used you ever laid awake at 2 in the morning worrying about their own morality? Do you think the manipulator ever feels a knot in their stomach because they are afraid of being too harsh? Absolutely not. Evil never questions its own right to dominate. Toxic people never interrogate their own shadows. They do not have a conscience that regulates their frequency. They believe they are blindly entitled to everything they take from others. Your hesitation is not a weakness. Your fear of becoming corrupt is the divine immune system of your soul. The Creator had to put you through that brutal vibrational quarantine to purify your heart, so that when He finally handed you the keys to the kingdom, you would wield your authority with profound empathy, not with a cruel smile on your face. You are not them. You will never be them. Because your power is rooted in the Dhamma, the still, vibrating silence of God, while their power is rooted in the chaotic, screaming desperation of the Matrix. Right now, I need you to do a profound mental exercise with me. Do not move your physical body, just use the absolute power of your spiritual focus. Mentally locate that tight, anxious knot in the center of your chest, that heavy fear of your own greatness. I want you to visualize it as a dark, tangled ball of heavy iron wire restricting your heart. Now, using your activated frequency, picture a brilliant, warm, golden light pouring directly into your chest, melting that iron wire down into nothing. Feel your ribcage physically expand in your mind. Feel the massive space opening up inside you. Breathe into that newly created space and mentally declare that you are safe to be powerful. Comment, "I am trusted with power," to permanently break the curse of playing small. Your fear proves your heart is solid enough to carry the magnitude of this calling. Your wisdom has matured. You are no longer a victim. You are an activated, self-aware, chosen one. But chosen one, hear this warning loud and clear. The enemy also knows you are ready. The spiritual realm can see that your frequency is shifting. And because they could not break you in your isolation, because they failed to destroy you in the dark, they will now try to break you in your elevation. They are changing their strategy entirely. They have deployed 5 highly specific frequency hijackers to infiltrate your life. And the very first one will approach you wearing the mask of absolute pity. The very first hijacker will approach you wearing the mask of absolute pity. We can call this attack the pity party. They do not come at you with aggression. They come at you with a sob story, targeting the exact empathy you just spent months purifying. You will receive a long text message or a phone call out of nowhere, and they will say something that sounds exactly like this. "I am going through such a terrifyingly dark time right now, and you are the only person in the world who truly understands me. I really need you to help me fix this. Do not fall for the trap." This is a targeted, surgical strike against your newly cleaned energy. They do not actually want healing. They want an energy donor. They want to siphon your high frequency to temporarily soothe their low vibration. Your counter-strategy for this is absolute silence and sending love from a vast distance. You are a chosen one, not a spiritual landfill for their unhealed trauma. The second attack is the premature return. This is the person who completely abandoned you during your darkest hour in the quarantine. But now, because your brain fog has cleared and your spiritual authority is radiating from you, they subconsciously sense your new power. They suddenly want access to your light again. They will approach you casually, flashing a friendly smile, and say, "Hey, I was just thinking about you the other day. We should really grab coffee and catch up. Let us just put all that silly past drama behind us." Notice what they are doing. They are trying to skip the repentance phase. They want the benefits of your theta frequency without taking accountability for how they left you to bleed. The strategy here is uncompromising. You maintain the strict quarantine. You do not explain yourself. You simply deny them access. As your divine downloads increase and your brilliance becomes impossible to hide, you will face the third hijacker, the copycat. This is the person in your circle who watches your every move and tries to replicate your success, your words, and your style without doing any of the agonizing internal shadow work you just did. They will look you right in the eye and say, "Oh wow, I was actually planning to start that exact same project. We are just so alike, we are practically twins." This is designed to trigger your insecurity and make you feel violated. But listen to me. When the copycat tries to mirror you, you do not argue with them. You simply lean heavier into your daily protection. You return to your 7-minute sound ritual. Let them copy your physical actions. They can never copy your downloaded Dimama frequency. The genius wave aligns you directly with the Creator, and authenticity is the one thing the Matrix cannot forge. The fourth hijacker is not a human being at all. It is the exhaustion illusion. Just as you start gaining serious momentum, a sudden, heavy wave of false fatigue will wash over your body. You will wake up feeling like you have weights tied to your limbs. A dark whisper in your mind will say, "You are just too tired today. Just sleep in." Skip your daily activation just this once. You deserve a break. You can pray tomorrow. This is the system desperately trying to drag your brainwaves back down to the chaotic beta state. The strategy is to recognize that this is not biological tiredness, it is spiritual warfare. You push through the illusion, you put your headphones on, and you tune in anyway. The fifth and final hijacker is the false guru. This is someone who appears deeply spiritual, extremely knowledgeable, and highly charismatic, but they secretly want to control your frequency. They want to establish themselves as the necessary middleman between you and the Most High. They will try to intimidate you by saying, "God told me to give you this specific correction. You need to submit to my spiritual covering and follow my exact guidance if you want to reach the next level." Reject this immediately. Your activated brain already has a direct, unblocked connection to the throne room. The veil is torn. You do not need a human mediator to translate the voice of the universe for you. Let me tell you about a chosen one who used this exact playbook to defend her blessing. Just a few months ago, she was finally finding her peace after a brutal season of isolation. She was faithfully doing her daily 7-minute activation. Out of nowhere, her highly toxic ex-partner sent her a massive paragraph. It was the ultimate pity party attack, begging for her advice, playing the victim, trying to pull her back into the familiar chaos. Before she cleared her brain fog, she would have spent 3 hours drafting the perfect, empathetic reply, draining her own life force in the process. Instead, she instantly recognized the hijacker. She felt the physical pull in her chest, but she refused to engage. She did not type a single letter. She deleted the message, blocked the number, and went to sleep. The very next morning, she received the official email for a massive career promotion she had been waiting years for. The universe was simply waiting to see if she would protect her frequency before it handed her the keys to the next level of authority. Right now, I want you to perform a specific, invisible defense protocol. Do not move your body, just use the absolute focus of your mind. In your imagination, visualize a massive, impenetrable wall of thick, glowing glass descending from the sky, completely surrounding your entire energy field. See the faces of these 5 hijackers walking up to the glass. They are talking, they are crying, their mouths are moving frantically, but you hear absolutely nothing. Their manipulative words bounce harmlessly off the glass and dissolve into dust before they can even reach your ears. You are completely insulated in the Dimama. Breathe deeply into that total safety. Comment, "I am untouchable," to establish this permanent, impenetrable shield in the spiritual realm right now. Now you have the playbook. You know exactly what their attacks will look like, but just knowing is not enough. Before you walk into the next 40 days, This frequency must be locked into your soul so the enemy cannot steal it while you sleep. I need you to prepare your spirit right now because we are about to activate the sealing ceremony. Wherever you are right now, I need you to completely shift your internal focus. You do not need to change your physical posture or close your eyes. I just need you to mentally step out of your earthly circumstances and step directly into the throne room of the universe. Drop the heavy, invisible burdens you have been carrying all day. Open the deepest gates of your spirit. This is not a traditional bedtime prayer where we beg the Creator for survival. This is a prophetic activation ceremony. You are officially stepping out of the vibrational quarantine. You are taking off the garments of isolation, and you are putting on the heavy armor of your divine authority. By the supreme and sovereign authority of the Most High, I decree that the atmosphere surrounding you right now is a holy, impenetrable space. The Matrix has absolutely no jurisdiction over your mind, your frequency, or your future from this exact moment forward. Every low vibration entity, every monitoring spirit, and every frequency hijacker assigned to your life is now rendered completely blind and deaf to your next move. The spiritual borders around your life are closed to anything that does not vibrate at the frequency of divine truth. Father of lights, creator of the cosmos, you saw them in the dark. You saw the agonizing nights they sat alone in their parked cars, staring at the steering wheel, too physically and mentally exhausted to even open the door and walk inside. You saw them giving their last ounce of energy, their last dollar, and their last shred of empathy to people who never even bothered to say thank you. You saw the crushing, paralyzing brain fog. You saw the tears they desperately hid from the world when they realized their phone was completely silent in their absolute darkest hour. But you also saw the miracle. When the world abandoned them, they did not become bitter. They did not turn into the monsters who abused them. They passed through the fire of isolation and kept their heart pure. They broke the generational curses alone. And now, we officially lock in the wisdom of the wilderness. I seal the massive revelation of the vibrational quarantine deep into their spirit. They will never again confuse your divine protection with human rejection. I seal the framework of the 3 tiers of isolation into their daily walk. Give them the supernatural ruthlessness to keep the energy vampires permanently in the outer circle, to keep the spectators at a distance, and to fiercely protect their sacred inner space. I seal the playbook of the 5 frequency hijackers into their mind right now. When the pity party calls, when the premature return texts, when the copycat mirrors their moves, when the exhaustion illusion hits their body, and when the false guru tries to speak over them, their spiritual alarm system will instantly activate. They will not be manipulated. They will not be drained. I bind every demonic interference, trying to pull them back into the chaotic beta wave survival state. I command the brain fog to lift permanently. I declare that the next 40 days will be a season of unprecedented mental clarity, radical peace, and rapid divine downloads. The confusion is permanently broken. As you explore this sound technology, as you tune into the theta and gamma frequencies daily and begin your 7-minute activation ritual, I declare that the Dhamma, the vibrating stillness of God, will flood your neural pathways. You will see brilliant, impossible solutions where others see absolute dead ends. You will walk into rooms and instantly shift the atmosphere without saying a single word. Wealth, resources, hidden opportunities, and divine connections that vibrate at your exact new frequency are being released from the heavenly realms to you right now. You will find the link to access this activation tool waiting for you in the pinned comment below, because heaven has already prepared the physical tools for your spiritual restoration. Chosen one, the mantle of leadership is resting heavily on your shoulders. You can no longer play small to make other people feel comfortable. Will you protect your frequency? Will you guard your inner circle with wisdom? Will you carry this genius state with profound empathy and unyielding courage? In your spirit right now, from the very bottom of your soul, I need you to scream the word yes. Heaven has recorded your declaration. The angelic host has witnessed your alignment. The universe has recognized your new frequency. Go now. Step completely out of the shadows. Do not look back at the people who could not survive your quarantine. You are no longer isolated. You are elevated. You are activated. You are perfectly aligned with the mind of the Creator. In the mighty, matchless, and sovereign name of the Most High. Do not say Amen just yet. Hold this frequency in your spirit. Let the silence seal the work. Let the new code permanently rewrite your destiny. Now,